Welcome back to the CFOs Not Talking Finance. Today we are joined by Ankit Lodha, CFO at KALKI Fashions, which is, as we all know, a contemporary Indian ex-nuclear brand that is one of the most popular names in premium bridal and occasion wear. With growing ambitions around omni-channel scale, global expansion, and maybe a potential IPO journey on the horizon now that Ankit is steering the ship. Before joining KALKI, Ankit held senior roles in healthcare, retail, EPC, textile, and asset management, giving him a very rare multi-industry lens on capital discipline, operational complexity, and long-term value creation. And this episode we're hoping is all about reading the signals in financials, in strategy, and in shifting market dynamics. Let's get into it. Thank you so much, Ankit, for joining us on the episode. And let's get straight into the business model at KALKI as well. In the premium wear segment, especially in ethnic wear, how do you see this brand scaling, specifically with D2C coming into place, or is it going to be more of a flagship store experience?
So KALKI has been in D2C since last 40 years, but they were limited to one or two locations within Mumbai as well. Recently, as we had also raised the funds, now KALKI is expanding and across Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. And of course, the experience behind the legacy and the traditional, business mindset, now trying to transform the things into the more professional and towards the journey to the next level of growth and expansion. So as you rightly said, it's one of premium brand. In fact, bridals are one of USP, and KALKI is into manufacturing as well, and having presence across all the sales channels like online, offline, website based, B2C within India as well as across global opportunities. And we are based in Mumbai prominently, but we are having currently flagship stores in Mumbai and Delhi. Recently opening a lot more stores. In fact, two major flagship stores, one also adding in Mumbai and one in Delhi. And this year we'll be completing around 16 more stores, so we'll be completing 25 stores. So as I mentioned, it's a for me myself, if I'm telling you, then I joined as a finance head CFO. From the day one, the journey has been roller coaster because company has been seeking to raise funds. The journey has completed in 5 months, and we also gone corporate restructuring thing. So it took also next 5 months, almost 10 months. We spent on that. Now it's journey all about the transformation, following the capital discipline, put right resources in the right place, revamping all the strategies, coming up with the global appearance. The company had already collabs with lot more celebrities, and that's what everybody knows that brand from that perspective. But now it's time to back end strong, and so that all the stakeholders within the system can be get their expectations correct. And my place is there where I can build all the ecosystems, not only in the core finance domain, across organizations, since it's a shifting of culture, shifting of mindset, shifting of systems, and everything. So of course CFO plays a major role beyond finance numbers, right? And that is how I will feel resonated and well connected to KALKI.
Amazing. And you've actually seen that entire journey, like you said, it's a 40-year-old company. So you've seen its maturity, right, from being a closely held fashion house to now they have won what has been extremely modest, but I know that the funding round that was recently closed as well was entirely led by you, and you managed that corporate structure completely. So how do you see this general shift where you said, okay, now obviously brand collaborations, we saw the recent one with Tamanna as well, showcasing your premium bridal wear. But that's all in the front end, that's all the flashing part of the business. Like you said, creating that ecosystem, creating the backbone for the company to scale is always the CFO's responsibility. And how do you think, your very varied experience across industries, how do you think that will come in handy to formalize a lot of the business processes that you are ultimately responsible for?
Yes, of course. I'm glad that you are acknowledging those things. In fact, by education, I was also in multidisciplinary things like qualified CA, CS, CMA, and lot more other addition to that. And by experience, I have been fortunate with working some core professional industries like retail development and executives. So I found myself growing not only just in the professional thing, I would say 360 angle, whereas they have added with the personal values, to my life. Okay, so I leverage all those skills when I working with family-based organizations, and of course they also need that support only, where a finance person can wear all six hats while taking any micro decisions as well. So I take all the decisions. I do not think whether it is micro or major. I always take care of stakeholders, take care of budget, take care of the processes, compliances, strategically, and I ensure at the end that processes should be scalable and nobody can even challenge those processes in any manner. Okay, so I do take care of all the things, keeping budget, and of course in the family-run business, I also need to take care of the mindset. So somewhere those alignments and the communication has to be in place when you are taking some decisions which has been traditionally taken in a different way, right? So and this is all leverage, like we are fortunate being a chartered accountant that we have all the leverages to analyze those things, deep dive in the things. In fact, coming from background of good professionals, I feel somewhere before coming CSR and ESG into the picture, empathy has already been put into our vessels, and that's why I always feel connected to my core team as well as the leaders cross-functionally. So, and that is the USP only, where we are able to deal with internal, external, all the challenges, and of course happy to discuss any point you would like to more deep dive.
Yeah, multiple things. So one of course is I want to relate to something you said before we started shooting, where you said over the last year, I don't think you took a single holiday. That's what you said, right? Other than maybe going and speaking as part of the thought leadership forum. So I think that plus what you said in terms of everything you handle, the volume, the scale at which you're used to looking at things. We want to slightly ask you a more question in terms of your management style. Are you someone who's very strict generally with their team?
No, I have never directed my team as well. I always try to get more and more closer to my team in terms of listening, in terms of empowering, in terms of knowing the ground level challenges. And then my skill comes into the picture, where I take help from them and helping the organization. Okay, so and this is the thing where I feel if even if we contribute in just listening, will solve your 80% of the problem actually, because the team is the real core people who working on the ground, who know the real challenges, who are facing the real difficulties, who need support. Okay, so that is my leadership actually. I feel I always empower them from my heart at workplace as well.
Wonderful. So you're one of the new age CFOs who will be more of an enabler for their team, and then make sure, okay, if they're actually having problems, how can we solve those problems and add value rather than just.
So I tell you one thing, Chitra, anything comes, let's say 90%, 99% of things are not new to me actually. But anything comes to me as a new thing from my subordinate, I just ask them, okay, sit, relax, tell me the whole story. I take 7 buys in my language. I take complete time, and apart from discussing to this particular challenge, I understand whole story in and around that challenge. Okay, then I come into a picture as a professional that what skills required. So whether it is lack of communication, it's lack of resources, it's lack of knowledge, maybe it's lack of somewhere approaching to the senior leaders in the cross functions, So if there is anything, I jump into myself. First option I give to my subordinate, let's lead this. I explain everything, pros, cons, short-term impact, long-term impact. If you do like this way, what would be challenges in the future? But if you would be doing in this way, it would be sustainable and scalable. So I groom themselves. I ensure that they are learning every day from me, and once that part is complete, and then I take myself out for a while, and then I ask, would you like to take a lead, or you want my assistance in that? And that's how I build my team. Even I do not mind to work with become graduates for so longer time, because I know qualification can be achieved with a certain age, but experience can't be achieved in a way. Means, you have to be experienced in a way, and the ground level people are always keen to learn and take the things further if you guide them in the right directions, and you empower them with the right decision makings. That is how I do my work. In fact, there will be no kind of surprises if I tell you that neither of company I have handed over the things. I did not need to hand over anything, because I keep all the things such transparent with my team that I have always my subordinates ready to take those challenges. Okay, and it's ground level reality, so that's why I am much more confident.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. So clearly you're not into micromanagement, you're into empowering
No.
teams.
Micromanaging, micromanaging make your peoples dependent on you. It will create trust issues between you and your core teams. Okay, and micromanaging is things which can't make you yourself scalable as well. If you want to be, you have clear strategy. If you have clear vision, then the micromanagement doesn't work. Only empowerment works, and it works in all areas. And sometimes, if I feel that somebody says it's fine, I immediately realize that it's completely not fine behind the story. So sometimes, whenever after office hours or before office hours, I recall them, I sit with them, I ask them like personal about their personal life as well, and I propose them also like what way I can help you. So I found this good. It's working actually.
But it's one thing with your team, Ankit, as the CFO and finance head and something which you have to comprise as well. You are responsible for not just finance, but a lot of maybe cross-functional team members. Because what they do is essentially you are making KALKI Fashions ready for an IPO-ready. That's the journey that you want to undertake. So you have to formalize a lot of business processes that are maybe not within finance, that are outside of finance. So how do you manage, making sure that everyone on the same page, going towards that larger vision, and not focusing on the day-to-day problems or friction that might arise?
Right. So I tell you, when I joined this company as well, since the company has been run traditionally, so the function particularly was under a pressure or less empowered. Okay. So what I did is I took 1.5 months just to empower the team and to make the current resources sufficient to the next journey. Right. Now I had to think about the cross functions, since all fundraise and due diligence and everything was about to come into picture. So, and based on my experience, always once your strategy and vision is clear, so your long-term vision should be informed, not aligned but completely informed to all the cross-functional leaders. Now, if we talk about the short-term strategy, then it should get aligned with the cross-functional leader. And I think major part is the communication, okay, and the transparency, I feel. So what I do, what I follow my strategy is I always be transparent first. I acknowledge whatever mistakes has been done in the past. I open up myself with the consequences, okay, and then I put a proposal that My proposal is this. This is scalable, this is compliant, this is for long run, this will be nowhere challengeable, and that's how I try to align the cross-functional leader. So I think 80-90% problems get resolved. Now it's a time to recheck on the resources, means their inner capability, the cross-functional capability. So I also open up myself to talk about on that part, that even your core domain, you need any help or any process where finance cannot directly involve, but at least indirectly can assist based on the experience, and that's how I feel more comfortable to them. Okay, and that is what strategic role I do in the company as well.
I think a summary of what you said also points out to what you said earlier in the answer, where you said you like to keep things transparent, the way you work, and even here when you have other stakeholders that you want to be on the same page, what you're essentially saying is that you have to be transparent, so that there is no different intent that is coming across, so that everyone's on the same page. I think that's what you're saying. Ultimately, as the CFO who is also, mostly doing business partnering rather than, post-mortem financial reporting, because that you've clearly set a process for and that is working, smoothly. But when you have business partnering, how do you, handle external pressures? For example, recently a lot of tariffs were levied on India by the US, for example, and specifically I think the textile manufacturing industry was also affected. So over here, how, because then there will be pressures on you in terms of maybe, keeping the bottom line intact. And there's only so much legroom that you have with pricing and, maybe sourcing from different vendors. So these challenges, how do you keep a cool head while, because these challenges could be many, today could be something, tomorrow it could be something else. How do you keep a cool head while handling such things?
Yeah, first I made up my mind itself that things will keep changing every day, every hour. So organization have to be ready, should not be into the firefighting mode always. And that is what I work on the processes, and I work on the language with my team as well. So let's say I used to explain them one thing for 10 minutes earlier. Now in the couple of seconds they got the thing that what I want or what I expect from them. Now coming to US tariff specifically, or recent GST changes. So these all two things are majorly impacting our industry. I tell you how. In the recent GST amendments, any textile product above 2499 would be chargeable flat at 18% that we used to sell at 5 to 12%. Right? Strategically, means you can't do any change in the regulations or rules, of course. But strategically, we have come up with the revised pricing. We have come up with the all the GST norms, what they are expecting, like relabeling of the MRPs, showing the old MRPs as well the new MRPs. Okay, being more transparent with the GST data, because there is a cutoff of 27th of September. After that, post that it will be implemented thoroughly. All these changes I took into the picture. I changed the mindset, of all the operations head and everyone, because there will be a lot of work pressure on those, in fact on the retail teams as well. So I align with them, I explain them the consequences, and financially, since we are into export, so we are less burden on the GST refunds. Okay, so somewhere we are trying to manage all those things. If I talk about the US tariff, just for your information and audience information, so we have 40% of our international business only in US. Okay, so US means putting all these tariffs into the picture. Tariff Trump has put us in put us on a juncture where we are feeling that what to do with this kind of thing. But anyway, so we have two challenges. One, we the orders which we already took in our hand and one we are going to take in the future. So for the orders, since it takes time a lot to prepare, like 20 days or 1 month. Of course, by the time the products will get prepared, tariffs will be implemented, and price revisions cannot be done for the customers who already ordered on a certain previously fixed prices. So we treat as a customer service only. We are sharing with them that gestures or small moment of thankful to them that they are ordering, and that's what we are not compensating expectations from their side. Whereas in the second scenario, the future orders will be we are coming up with a certain price revisions because 40% would, for many industries taking the hit on the bottom 40%, but we are same time we are trying to maintain the customer loyalty with us. We are trying to maintain the sentiments with them. We are trying to manage all those things through our CRM team, that those things should not happen. And KALKI always believe in the experience, how we give to the customer. So we are taking care of that part of the
Ankit, you have a lot of business savvy about various industries. Were you always like that as a kid, very curious? What made you take up CA? I just want to know a background of that.
So if I directly talk about how I made up myself for CA, it would be little difficult for you to understand. Let us go little back to the history and all. So I am coming from a business class family. Okay, I have been grown socially well, cultured well, and in fact, even my family size would be like 300 people only in my family, core family size.
Wow. Is that why it's easy for you to lead such a large team at KALKI?
So we were well established socially, culturally, and business-wise and everything. So 2002, when I completed my school set and everything, so I was just in the vacations. I was just sitting with my father in the office cabin and everything. So traditionally, the marriage age is around 22 and 23 there, since we were in a good community and well connected with the society. So marriage proposal has came into the picture. Here, a lot of relatives, friends, family used to come into offices, and they observe like my month is sitting in joint office and probably there is no future plans and everything. So after one or two proposals came to my father's desk, he told me that there are two options. One, I can say no because you are doing multiple things, this, or I can say yes only. Okay, so I take a pause only for a while only. I asked myself that am I enough capable to cater my family or my partner, future family on my own or not? So simple answer was no at that time because maturity was not so much in place. So I go back to my father and I asked him that, Papa, I do not want to get directly into that aspiration. I do have lot more things to do in my life. I was not serious, but now let me just have some couple of hours to think over that. Papa said yes, I am okay with that. I just take my phone. That time I do not remember the phone was mobile or something, desk phone. So I take my phone, I call one of my past friends that when I ask what you are doing, then he's saying that I am doing a child accountancy course. Okay, where are you residing? I am residing in a hostel. Okay, can I come and join there? So there is one last sheet. If you want to join, not only you have to come immediately, you have to come with the certain references to get that seat with you on your name. Next day morning, I think 6 o'clock, I left my home. It was around 6 o'clock. I left from my home actually with one of my friend's eldest brother's car. to whom I searched out that who is going to that city tomorrow morning. That time luxury was not there actually. Enough communication channels was not there, and I always feel free to ask any help from anyone myself because I have been transparent to the things, so I expect the same with the other person as well. So I always keep asking for help anytime. I just asked my friend who's going next city, and then he told me that my brother is going, and I just took all the bags and everything stuff in that car, and then I just flew there. I got an admission, fortunately, and that's how I started my journey. CFOs eventually came out of I don't know, but I was immature, so out of this family and responsibility, all those kind of things. Would you like to understand more about the
Yes,
criteria?
especially because the origin story of how you chose this is because you were, of course, very validly, very fairly saying you are not ready for that other kind of responsibility. So, let me do something better.
No, I asked my friend that time that what is the hardest, area of professional things, what you're doing. Then he said CA is that time. Communications were not so strong like AI and everything, technology and MBA. MBA was also so much costly. Okay, and we were not in a position that we go upfront to the father, and though he was into the business, but we can't take those much credibility ke aaj mere ko 25 lakh de do, I will pay you after 2 years. That culture was not there, right? We had to think small
amount. Prove yourself.
Yes. Even though there was no pressure at all from family side. So I joined in 2005. I think I have joined the CA course after my actually BCom. Parallelly, I was doing a little bit trading into the stock market, very little amount. But that time, little amount was also like so much, means a lot to us. 2008, the Lehman crisis has, all the money, all the small amounts and investment. My personal amount has, vanished.
The retail investors in India were the most affected.
Yes. So that time I realized that shortcuts or tradings or coming with a business mindset, kitna डूब गया है तो चलेगा. I think it is not going to work in the real life. It was very small amount. Even my current 1 month expenditure is not up to that level, but the change of mindset has happened, and I again reanalyze myself that there is no other way. Only this way you need to go, and then I took seriously everything in the picture, and then CA journey has literally started after Lehman Brothers when I have been serious about career and everything. There is no other way out. So when I joined CA, the last scheme, if you remember, the scheme was PE second. So it was not like the scheme we are having currently, where you can start your articleship just after 12 or something. I was unfortunately the last enrollment in that scheme, where I will not able to get into the training or articleship unless I clear the PE second. Okay, since I was graduate, so foundation I didn't need to do, but PE second I needed to clear. So in first attempt I got failed. And I found myself on the same junction. That what if it is happened after 5 years or 4 years of all these struggles. So then I made myself at least take one professional accreditation which would be beneficial to justify your decisions and everything. So I immediately enrolled myself for company secretary, and 2 years without, I will not say on the race, but without struggle, I passed in first attempt CS.
Generally, that's what they say, that CS
CA students
slightly
quite easier to get into CS and pass qualify for that. But fortunately, it has happened. And by the time CA also I have cleared in second attempt actually. So
it is nice to speak to somebody who is also attempting to hear what.
No, I remember whole story. It's very deeply I am connected, still feel connected to that time, because that time spending 100 rupees was a dream for a day. I got 100 rupees. It's not like I'm not asking or father is not giving or something.
But you always felt like you had to earn it.
Yes. So I remember the days when 100 rupees, how much it valued to me. मैं जूस भी पीता था, फ्रेंड्स के साथ बर्गर भी खाता था, सब कुछ करता था, लिफ्ट मांग के कभी इंस्टीट्यूट भी जाता था, तो so now thousands of rupees are pretty much comfortable to spend in a day, but that time तो नहीं था. So CS हुआ, then by the time CS I got completed, CA after 1 year I got completed CA as well. Now it's time to take decision, come into a business or come into a professional kind of thing. So I made up my mind to come into a professional thing. I started my career fully with KALKI Group in Mumbai. Around 2 years I worked there under the leadership of ex-Aditya Birla executive members, and I was quite fortunate that they have they made me capable to see beyond the things that we were doing that time. So I was more kind of doer that time, because learning curve had just started to make a foundation and then started to be built, right? And I was not aware that the leaders under which I am working are ex-Aditya Birla. I will let you know the story behind that also. Until 2014 I have worked there, and in 2014, since I was aspired to work in different areas and different geographies, so and majorly projects were coming into African countries. 2013, I think I had a conversation with my father that what if I go to Africa or something. Then father said, let's see, those countries are too far from this. And 2013, I was to Hungary actually. My marriage happened in 2013. So father is saying Africa, try to avoid the African countries and go like little bit comfortable, culturally comfortable countries. So at that time I got an opportunity from Ankit Lodha Indonesia, and I went there, I joined there, and almost 7-8 years I spent there with the Lodha executive. Until that time also I was kind of doer only, you can say. At last of 2018 I realized that what has made me complete during this all journey. Okay, then I go back into the all history that under which leadership I was working. I have come with what is aspirations. How the current CFOs or current management or cross-functional leadership have been developed into me without even knowing myself at 2014 or 13. So what has happened is I have been early wake up person actually. I used to sleep 7:30 or 8 p.m. in the night, and I used to awake around 1 or 1:30 p.m. In the night or morning, you can say.
Yeah.
So, and post that I had never slept in my whole life. So even now as well.
Yeah, by 2 years.
Yes. So I used to sleep that time only. So what I did is the official time in the Indonesia was like 8 to 4 p.m. 4 p.m. country gets closed officially. So I used to work till 7 at office, and I used to carry all the work together with me in the car at home. Okay, I put all the documents and everything on my table. I used to eat dinner with wife and everything, and then go to sleep around 7:30, 8:30. We go to sleep, and then I woke up at 2 o'clock. And by the time I reached the office, all the work has been completed. Yes, everything. So there will be no dependency of anyone in the system. That sir आएंगे तो करेंगे. We have to wait for sir signature or server. But I didn't realize that time that how much pressure I am taking, how much responsibilities I am carrying on, how much learning they are articulating in me, how much closer I am working with CFO, how means they are.
It just kept happening.
Yeah, it just kept happening. When I was working closely with CFOs, I realized very later that he was not also directing me, he was guiding me, he was grooming me, he was acknowledging my mistakes, he was, some kind of value additions he put into myself, but I realized post 2018 all those things. And post 2018, I felt that the experience which I could have get into 15-20 years, I have managed to gather all the things. It includes like leadership also, cross-functional teams also, MIS, ethicals, integrity, everything. I tell you one example. In the whole journey of 6 years with those mentors, a small general entry which they have passed like 4 or 5 years back with a small amount only made them stuck in the matter of due diligence. Okay, so very first time, since we were not knowing about the corporate governance of all the 99% of companies outside of that organization, we were not knowing. We were thinking like companies run in a way only with proper humility, proper trust, proper stakeholders interest, proper standards and everything. That general entry came into picture, and my boss said, "Oh my God, this one entry we didn't take care, and this is now coming into the picture." That is why I always recommend that short term or shortcuts doesn't work for the longer term vision. So sometimes something has stuck in my upscaling, or you can say that yes, if we do follow some shortcuts or short-term strategy. Means even in finance, we can say that like short-term money can't be for the long-term purpose, right? So those all been very well articulated has been into me because I was coming from a business class family, from a socially connected family, so humility and the empathy was already into the place. Then ethical and the integrity has been put into the system with nobody intended. It was not intended, but it has been put into the system, and that's how we feel more comfortable, scalable. We feel much more transparent with the authorities, with the bankers, with why? Because the systems, backend systems, and processes were so much governed system, and we were following the corporate governance at the highest level. So we have not felt any kind of discomfortness in the being transparent with the stakeholders, whether it's vendor, customers, or anyone, with the employees as well. So story starts post 2018. Okay, when my world has been changed from professional group to family based business with the other verticals as well, coming back to India post COVID and everything.
And you came back to India post COVID?
Yes, I came back to India to post COVID actually. My mother has been passed away in COVID, and then I had to come back. And when I came back, I had almost 12 years of experience in manufacturing only. Then I made up my mind to come in a B2C e-commerce, new age areas and everything. So journey has been a lot more pivoting, lot more multidisciplinary things actually. So this means your question was regarding the journey of CA.
How you chose it, yeah.
Yes.
No, but then this is interesting because like they say, hindsight is everything. So now when you can look back at your journey, you can actually see where, for example, what you said, you never realized you were being mentored, you never realized that your CFO was grooming you to take up a more important space. So I think his discipline was kind of contagious. You also got it, and now I'm sure without you realizing, your team is also learning a lot of things very subconsciously from the way you work. But here you still wake up at 2 a.m.
Yes, I do wake up still.
My God.
So
that's supposed to be the.
So I do upgrade myself every day. Likewise, I'm sitting here with you. So I'm doing parallelly a lot of learning for myself day-to-day basis. I keep meeting with a lot more people to understand the challenges, opportunity, whatever the pain areas they are facing. I keep meeting. In fact, with KALKI, I am fortunate to work closely more to the Gen Z people who are really unpredictable, really coming from a different mindset, leveraging all the technologies.
Is it challenging? You have your promoters and management who are from a family background in terms of family managed business, and then you have someone like you who is the main leadership when it comes to setting the right processes, who has come from a corporate background, and then having to work with a very mixed team. And I'm sure at KALKI there will be people who've been in the company since 40 years, since 30 years, but also a lot of new joiners. How do you manage such a large team across age groups, across generations and working styles?
Right. And as I mentioned, we are into manufacturing, B2C, online, everything is there. Categories, product categories are also different. Catering like kids, men's, bridals, everyone like. So it's of course it's a versatile and it has been a challenge from I took as a challenge only. I connected somewhere those challenges to my aspiration. Firstly, I managed all this fundraise and everything. I explained to you how to build up my team called existing team. Then I managed the fundraise and everything, managed the restructuring and everything. Now coming to the internal things, that how to manage all these things. So I think mindset and vision and alignment is much more critical to get into the place. See, if we real life scenario, if we see, if we do not feel aligned to a family member, okay, things doesn't work, right? The same thing happens in the company as well. If you are not aligned to your core team or cross-functional leaders or their team or something else, you can't isolate, the things, right? And I always try to see the things beyond the pictures or numbers. Okay, numbers are still less relevant to me because even being a chartered accountant, because I always work on the processes and the mindset. I always come with a strategy. In fact, before the fundraise, all the growth map for the company, for the promoters and for everyone, I have drawn myself, on the board that how the company's future, like KALKI, how the house of KALKI will be looking like. Okay, and once you are aligned for that reason, I think comes picture alignment and communication. And many of times you will find once you get closer into the conversation, you will come to know. In fact, the person who has been doing the things what your question was about, they even did not realize the pros and cons of their actions, right? And they has no intent to harm the company's resources, reputations, or anything. But when you come or sit across the table as a regular conversation, and you put up your concerns, your compliances or governance themes or stakeholders' interest or the responsibilities, then you can also feel some kind of flexibility in their areas where they were working, and that's how I resolve. And through this strategy, I have achieved I have resolved day-to-day challenges as well as the pain of the companies. Like one of the companies where I was working in healthcare, nobody wants to put their hand in a mess. Okay, so when you found that there is a mess, but there is no one to get into clean it up, then I made myself available there. Okay, it's a best opportunity that no one is going into that area. Let me put myself into there. So when I was working with a pharmaceutical and healthcare company, I found there was an area of purchase return, because always medicines come with the expiry. If you do not return with a particular time, okay, medicine will be no use, even no sellable to the secondary vendors and all, right? And company size was so big and the area was so negligible. But from the financial point of view, it was really significant. But from the interest area, it was like nobody wants to touch it, right? So I always made myself feel comfortable, and I wanted to get into those things, even all the day-to-day challenges I want to take, so that I also learn from there. I feel much more confident. The people became very trustful to you when they look like you lead with the example, you work closely to those areas and they feel like it is kind of support to them, right? So I do work in that manner only. Yes.
I think Ankit, you are somebody so far in the conversation what you understood. You are somebody who loves challenges. You seek out where, like you said, you seek out where there's a problem, something that nobody wants to fix, you step in and fix it. Even the story that you said, how you were saying you called up your friend and you asked which is the most challenging course, and he said CS, you're like, okay, let's do it. So I think you love stepping into the unknown, you love resolving challenges. So if I have to ask you in that same theme, since you've seen multiple industries, which from a business operations point of view, which one do you think is so far the most challenging that you've seen?
So I think it's the current setup also. Okay, it's the most challenging one. So if I talk about the manufacturing, what happens, Chitra, it happens in a particular fence. Okay, you have all the decision makers within a fence and cabins only. Okay, you have particular setup, manufacturing facilities, everything, your stock, your employees, everything. So it's very easy comparable to our infrastructure where I'm working since 2021. So compared to that, it's completely different. You have multi locations, you have multi geographies, you have multiple hierarchies, right? You have multiple stakeholders. Anybody comes any point of time, you don't have anything in place. Okay, if you come for a stock, we don't have anything at one place. If you are coming for cash balance, we don't have. If you are coming for asset verification, we don't have at one place, right? Even though you try to find the responsible persons, there is no one person, right? So how I call it in my language that everybody, nobody, anybody, and anybody, right? So everybody is doing everything, nobody is doing nothing. Everybody knows everything about everything, but nobody is doing nothing, right? So I call it like that. You will always be in dilemma. In fact, when I sit with auditors, they are also like struggling with the same thing. That in a certain this kind of infrastructure, how should we fix the responsibility of like these things? I feel challenges, these areas like these industry kind of infrastructure are much more challengeable rather than this. Of course, there are challenges, but they are particular challenges. But these industries are full of challenges. Like you have to go with the omni-channel kind of thing. Anybody can come overnight, disrupt with the dynamics. Things are keep changing. As I mentioned, technology and everything. Gen Z doesn't have patience after ordering. There are a lot more returns after ordering. Payment reconciliations, it's a big challenge because AOE is not so much higher, right? So payment reconciliation, major channels are different. People's dealings are different. So if you see, I am the face of function, but I can't be available on all stores with the cashiers. And they are the face who are dealing directly with the customer. So that challenge is different. This industry is full of challenges, I would say, based on my experience. Even I'm learning day to day, okay. But I'm sure that this industry is full of challenges compared to the traditional manufacturing setups like that.
I think clearly that's also why you have a plate full. You want to institutionalize a lot of processes here. And like you said, this is not just manufacturing, but you have point of sale, multiple retail stores. There's D2C now, and like you said, the US is a big part of your market abroad. So managing and handling the challenges, I think you have your hands full. But I think the team couldn't have a more bankable leadership in case under you. So one more thing that I wanted to ask generally is, it is the CFO's responsibility to maintain the margins of a business, right? Now please feel free to correct our misconception, but generally it is understood that fashion is a very high margin business. Is that true even in a premium high-end sector like what KALKI is operating in?
So I tell you one or two things based on my experience, Chitra. One is identifying the real cost is also a challenge for the 90% of the companies.
Not everybody knows that they're
not everybody knows. I tell you, I was working with a fabric company, okay, who was backward integrated with a yarn manufacturing company. Okay, they were thinking that we are earning in the polyester yarn compared to cotton yarn. And until I came into the picture on the costing part, okay, when I came into the picture, the completely scenario has been changed. More efficiency, more utilizations of resources, more margins where you are coming from, like you are asking, are coming out of the cotton compared to polyester. Whole production planning, whole sales strategy, whole mindset, my business mindset or something has been completely changed, and that completely visible on the margin side when we close.
Only when you set the cost.
Yes.
Correct.
So first part is this of the conversation that 90% company doesn't know their costing. Okay. Now come to the second point. If you talk about the margins, in a typical manufacturing setup, I come on the KALKI later on. Okay, if you go to the particular manufacturing facilities, as I mentioned you, it's a centralized process. It's a controlled environment. Very easy to control the cost, keeping it standard. Okay, work more like a commodity, not like a overnight business or kind of thing. Okay. Whereas coming into KALKI kind of environment, or where I have been working, Nika or pharmacy, lot more expenditure happens in IT and marketing. Okay, daily SEO, daily advertisement, collaborations, incentives, commissions, all other way. Okay, see, as a functional head, I can take care directly into the finance cost. Okay, best to best possible as a production PPC kind of controller, I can gross margin, I can. What about the other cost, which is actually impacting? And I'll tell you one more thing, very visible to them, but you might not realize that thing. If you see whole P&L, top line will always see the investors, okay, and the promoters next to next, right? Owners, founders. Bottom line, okay, promoters will only see. Investors will only concern. Okay. The rest of line items, okay, being a chartered accountant, only we are carrying the responsibility, I guess. Okay. When you work closely with the cross-functional leader, surprises keep coming to you. That how the decisions have been made, how means what was the parallel comparison, what was the mindset, what is the ROI of any project, and they are no more surprisable to me at this stage because I made up myself that these things will keep coming to me. Don't take as a surprise, right? So we are into the collabs. We are leveraging a lot more technologies. We are trying to do omni-channel and everything, and of course those have hit on the bottom line. The standard margin, if I talk about like gross margin, should be around like 60% or something. EBITDA should be minimum 30%, so at least 22% or 50% you can like 50 or something. Okay, but it depends all the factors as I mentioned you. That between top line and bottom line, there are a lot more things that we need to align with parallel. I take care of budget as well. I take care of apart from the costing, budgets, day-to-day approvals, processes, risk mitigation. Like because future risk is something which you can broadly take care. So I take care of all those things. Being the compliance head, legal head, I day-to-day. I'm dealing with a lot more contracts. Since company is expanding, we are dealing with a lot more properties to acquire, to get on lease. And each and every document, what our mentor has learned to us, that unless you read a paper from top left to right bottom, you can't get a full picture. We have a habit to read all these things, take a next level alignment with the owner sometimes, with the business teams as well, and try to ensure like company has to be risk proof for the future as well, right? And that is where our key role is, where we build the trust, confidence beyond the numbers, beyond the balance sheet. And in fact, I told you earlier also, I do not go with the numbers. In my industry, I give you the example. If somebody says कि sales कम आ रहा है, okay, let's put a bridal off, put a combo offer, put a coupon discount, okay, SEO, run a SEO for 2-3 days, right? So beating the top line numbers is not critically important for me actually. What is important is the bottom line of margin, you can say, and that is where CFO role comes into the picture. And in day-to-day life, we do a lot of things, lot of verticals for wearing lot of hats, and some things we need to go with the strategy, some things we need to go with the calculation, some things we need to go with the mindset as well, right? So parallelly managing all the plates together, like a joker, you can say, right?
Yeah. And I think this is a great insight and takeaway for us, because when you said, okay, top line is looked at by some people, certain stakeholders, bottom line is looked at by some people, but as a CFO, as someone who comes from that background, you're handling all of the other cross-functional leaders, you know each of the line items between that, so nothing comes as a surprise to you. You're looking after budgeting, so towards the end, you're never at a situation where something takes you by surprise.
Right.
So I think that's essentially, my next question was going to be about IPO readiness and what you look at it, but that's all big picture. I think ultimately what you're suggesting is, even on a day-to-day basis, you set the right processes, you set the right structures, so that nothing surprises you. You know, that one example that we gave earlier, where a single journal entry came to haunt you when you were doing due diligence later on, so many years later. So I think it's about that only, the culmination of a journey, but every day has to be, error-free, has to be where you're setting compliance and processes as the number one priority. And I think that's also what you're doing remarkably well at this place at KALKI and your previous organizations. Ankit, you want to end with this session which we have, quick fire questions. We've not called it coffee with Chitta. We don't want to do that, but these are just fun questions. So just tell us the first answer that comes to your mind. Don't think too much. Within KALKI, B2C, flagship retail, or export, which market or which channel excites you the most?
I think B2C, because it involves customer interaction directly. It can impact lots on a brand, being a brand, being a visible, coming up with the exclusivity in the products. I think B2C is much more nearer to me, rather than B2C export, where you have less interaction with the customers, and of course cultural differences are there.
And I think B2C, one of the major problems is purchase returns, which you solved already in
Yes,
pharmacy.
yes.
So here it must be a lot less
Of course.
compared to those volumes.
Yes.
That is a much more difficult monster. What is one KPI or metric that you like to track on an everyday basis? So, and nothing to do with your manufacturing side, wastage, and all of that. This is something that you look at most.
Conversion actually. Because ultimately they are the audience to whom I have to cater. Okay. So if my product is speaking the same language, okay, my pupils are speaking the same language or same culture, I think ultimately everything gives a remarkable thing over conversion. Customer, I have heard and interest of very good quotation from like first time if anybody buy your product, it's a sale only. Second time if it is buying a product or if something, then you can call it like relationship or we have found a loyal customer. But third time if he is referring to somebody else, then only you become a brand. Okay. So third sale is very important for me actually, and I always believe like my relationship with everyone in the system, the team, and everything. Customers are beyond my cater.
And that also goes along with KALKI's ideology of customer experience. Which is one city that you would love to see KALKI in next?
We are coming across all the cities. In fact, geography-wise, I would see like GCC countries like UAE and other countries, Australia we are trying, because US we are going to accomplish within next 2 months, but other countries also I am targeting. By the fundraise and everything, we are already sufficiently expanded our operations across India already.
What is the most underrated cost center in fashion, which you can crack and
Not only in fashion actually, I would say in most of the companies actually. See, finance has been always a backend, support function of the ecosystem. But when you see any turnaround or any significant milestone achieving or any collaboration or thinking of scaling, I think finance is the one who comes front end, at that moment and lead all the pictures, right? So I think finance is the one which has been underrated from many of organizations, and due to lack of knowledge as well as grooming mindset and everything, it's not like intendedly. But if it is prominently, if it is giving much more confidence to them, coming up with a leadership kind of role, hiring little bit professionals, coming up with empathy kind of policies and everything, I think those functions will come into picture and able to make a change in the system. It's not like they are just working on the P&L and balance sheet. It's beyond that, and it's something which impact overall image of the organization. So that is what I feel.
Amazing, Ankit. Thank you so much. This was an awesome conversation. We got so many insights, not just into how say traditional manufacturing operates, but also where you have B2C challenges. When we talk about expansion, what are the various things to consider, and how at a ground level you are someone who is looking after processes and who keeps that discipline. And that discipline is obviously something that is reached into your personal life as well with the bedtime routine that you have, how you want to keep learning new things every day. So I think it's a lot of great takeaways both for you personally as well as for all of our listeners and people who watch on YouTube. Thank you so much for support. But thank you so much, Ankit, for being here. We had an amazing time. Did you have a good time?
So of course, I had a good time. It was early morning, and thanks all of you, coming on time and having me on board. And it's really pleasure for me starting day with a lot of energy and a lot more learnings and experience with you. And we'll be, of course, happy to stay in touch and more conversations.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Ankit.
Thank you, Chitra.